Hello my fellow donuts and welcome back to 9 hours, 9 persons, 9 doors. Let's investigate this place. It's the place which is behind the door 1, which we chose in the end of the previous part. So, okay. Stack of nautical charts. I think this is a nautical chart. There's this line on it here. I think the line is the road the ship is supposed to take. There are these dots all over the map. Oh, those are probably ports, like for a boat to stop at. It looks like the lines connect the dots. I really like the music in this part. Kinda awesome. A world map with the Atlantic Ocean in the center. There are a number of red pins in several locations. What do these red pins mean? Well, the nautical charts I picked up earlier have a map like this one. Maybe one of them matches up to the pins or something? Let's see. Well, what do you know? Looks like this one's a match to the pins. Okay, so we've got 7 locations connected by the straight lines, and each one has a word next to it. That's probably the speed. File screen. Oh. Okay. Nautical table. Nothing else is new. Good thing that I, checked them all. Full half, slow, full half, dead stop. This is actually answer to one of the future puzzles. Nautical table found on the chart room shows directions of south, west, southwest, northwest, east, north, and straight. There is a word next to each point to the map. Yeah, that's what it says. Okay. The shelves are lined with books. Let's see what's in this blue one. There's something written on it. Ship's log. Huh. Ship's log, huh? And you didn't even bother to read it. Okay. Ship's log found in the chart room. The following is written on the last page. We leave soon for a new journey across the sea. After leaving port, we headed south and west. We turned southwest to steer around the continent, then proceeded northwest. We made port, then changed our heading to east for a time, and are now heading due north. Soon we will dock to the in the United Kingdom, the homeland of this vessel. Okay, is that all? This? I just can't. Okay. This is one more hint to another puzzle, future puzzle we will come across. Pocket watch. That's a pocket watch. She sure hasn't been saying much. And she just keeps looking at the floor. She seems kinda sad. Ah, you must be Sherlock, right? A voice he hadn't expected startled Junpei from his examination of the pocket watch. Oh, Ace is with us? I totally have forgotten. Yeah, it's Junpei, Ace, and Clover in this room. Okay. Oh, a pocket watch. Wanna take a look at it? He spun around to find Ace standing in the doorway. Junpei shrugged and handed him the pocket watch. Hey man, what are you doing over in this room? Oh, I just thought I'd come check up on the two of you. Is there a problem? I don't know. Not a problem, but weren't we like supposed to check different areas? If you are to follow the true path, there's like this choice is not important. It was a lie. All Jumpy wanted. Nola. No, it's not a Nola he wanted. Was to get rid of Ace. He sent Ace to the wheelhouse at the beginning for a reason. There was something he meant to ask Clover, and he meant to ask her in private. Oh really? I didn't know that. There was something he wanted to ask Clover, and he didn't want anyone else to hear him ask it. He also knew that Clover would likely remain silent if there were anyone else around her when he asked. That was why he was so desperate to send Ace back to the wheelhouse. Ace opened his mouth, then took another look at Jumpy and shut it again. A small smirk appeared on his face. Oh, I see, of course. He looked Jumpy over, then glanced at Clover. I apologize for an intrusion. What are you implying? Clover is too young for me, you know. Well, best of luck. Are you kidding me? Even though I don't know, I really like Ace, if to be honest. He looks and sounds like a really nice person. Ace gave Jumpy a knowing pat on the shoulder and laughed. I think he had a wrong idea. I mean, come on, Clover is like really young. Jumpy let out a sigh and brushed a few drops of sweat from his forehead. He turned and found himself looking straight into Clover's eyes. She heard what Ace had said. She regarded Jumpy with caution. What was that about? She was clearly suspicious, and with good reason. Jumpy's eyes widened, and he held up his hands in a gesture of innocence. Oh, no. It's not like that. What's it like, then? I just wanted to hear the rest of that story. I didn't get a chance to ask you about it until now. What story? About the experiment. Remember the one you started to tell me in the operating room? You said something about an experiment that happened here 9 years ago. She stared down at the floor for several long moments, and when she spoke, it was barely audible. I'm sorry, but I don't want to talk about that right now. I'm just not in the mood, okay? You understand, right? I keep thinking about my brother. I can't stop. I mean, who would do something like that to my brother? I can't forgive them. I'm not gonna let them get away with it. They are going to pay for it, I promise. So, her shoulders were shaking. Drops of blood had sprung up on her lips where she was biting them. She wiped it off and looked up at Jumpy, her eyes fierce and angry. Jumpy, who do you think did it? Her voice was cold and scarcely above a whisper. Jumpy gulped. Well, if what Seven said was right, then there would have to be at least 2 of them. I need at least 3 people to open the numbered door, and if you subtract Snake, that means there were at least 2 other people. You're right, so what does that mean? Well, if we just look at the bracelet numbers, we should be able to figure it out. Who could have opened door 3 with Snake? Well, really, who and who? Or who and who? What? You mean it could have been 4 people? Well, technically, it's possible. I don't know. That doesn't seem very likely. Why? I tell you later. Why don't we just assume it was only 2 other people for now? Okay, got it. Let's do that then. Then, who do you think it could be? Jimpy crossed his arms and thought. Snake's bracelet number was 2, which 2 bracelet numbers added to 2 would give a digital root of 3. It's actually Santa and 7. There are a lot of options, and yeah, the one which is pretty much right one is already chosen in previous playthroughs. Here, even though I believe it's not really important for the true ending, you can answer anyway, if I'm not mistaken, but it will be wrong. So it's Santa and 7. It's hard to believe, actually. I don't know why it's hard for me to believe in that any of these characters are killers. Well, I don't know. I would kind of think that Lotus could do that because she's a little bitchy. Could it be? Were Santa and 7 the killers? What's wrong? Clover, are you serious, Nola? Get the hell. Poor little kitty. Clover looked at Jimpy and looked back at her. There was no point in hiding it. Can you sit here? Come. Come. Yeah. Good place. Okay. He told her his conclusions. That's what I thought. She looked less surprised than he'd expected. Santa and 7. If it was 2 people, then that's the only combination that works. Hey, wait a minute there. Don't you think it's a little too early to be jumping to conclusions? Well, all I said is that those 2 would have been able to open the door 3 with your brother. There might be other possibilities. Well, what other possibilities? He didn't have an answer. He was ready to admit defeat when Clover spoke. Are you saying you think that it was 3 or 4 people? I really don't think that's likely. Why? Can I borrow your pen and paper? Clover put her hand out expectantly. Jimpy pulled out his pen and pad of paper and handed them to her. She opened the notebook and wrote down several simple addition problems. Eventually, she had 8, which provided a digital root of 3. So, what's the problem with those? What's this? These are the combinations for 3 or 4 people. These 8 combinations are the only possible ones. I see. Jimpy? Yeah. I can trust you, right? Of course. Why would you need to ask that? Really? Yeah. So then I should get rid of B, D, G, and H, right? Of course. Just cross them out. Yeah, right. I mean, come on. How can you trust anyone in this place? And you should take off yours too, the ones with 4. So what does that leave? A and E. Wait, it can't be A. Why not? Because June's in that one. There's no way in hell she'd do something like that. Are you sure? I'd bet my life on it. Okay then. Well, I don't know, in Danganronpa, the girl, I kinda, uh, if you're following my Danganronpa playthrough, it's gonna be okay for you. If you're not, then you should stop watching this one, because she betrayed me pretty much. And that girl was, something you would never think that she would betray you. Whatever. Then I can cross off A too, right? Yeah. Well, what have we got left? E. Do you know what this means? Everyone besides me, you and June would be working together. Do you think that's likely? If there were 4 people working together, they wouldn't be very cautious. I don't think they'd try that hard to hide that they were doing if they are outnumbered us, right? Who knows, maybe they are smarter than just showing off. Well, you do have a point. And besides, if Ace and Seven are working together, they could have easily gotten rid of me when I went to the shower room with them. But they didn't. They didn't even try anything. If they were the killers, why wouldn't they? Her voice was calm, but Junpei had only to look her in the eye to know it was a forced calm. There were tears forming at the corners of her eyes, and she was blinking furiously to keep them back. Perhaps by attempting an objective analysis of who might have killed her brother, she had been able to distance herself from the harsh reality of his death. The more she struggled to act unconcerned, the more Junpei felt his heart tightened. Okay. Yeah, well, that does make sense. It seemed pretty unlikely that it was as many as 4 people. Yeah, and that means there is a good chance it was Sand and Seven. That's how it looks. But why would they do it? I think I know. What is it? He laid his hand gently on her shoulder. He was close, so close to the answer. When Ace chose the worst possible moment to return. Damn. He raised a knowing eyebrow and then spoke. Have I interrupted something? Are you serious, man? What do you want? There was something I wanted to speak with you about, Junpei. Could you come with me for a moment? I mean, they have like less than 3 hours left. They don't even have time to speak in the first place, are they? Do they? I mean, come on. He turned his heel and walked back towards the wheelhouse. Junpei looked over at Clover. He gave her a short nod, hoped that she would be willing to talk to him again later, and followed Ace. What did you want to talk about? Ace looked at Junpei and smiled. Perhaps more of a smirk than a smile. He does look kinda happy. There was something I wanted to check. Yeah, what's that? If you'll excuse me. With no warning, Ace slipped his hand into his pocket. I mean, the pocket of Junpei's vest. What? What the hell are you doing? He reached for Ace's arm. But it was already too late. In the older man's hand were the pieces of paper Junpei had balled up and hidden in his pocket. Just as I thought. You switched them, didn't you? Oh my god. When we voted. Well, I can't say that I care. I managed to get through the number door I wanted despite your mischief. Why did you? Oh, simply curiosity. I hope you won't think ill of me for it. Ace smiled, gave Junpei a friendly pat on the shoulder, and then turned on his heel and laughed. That's all you wanted to speak about? Really? It was a small defeat, but it was a defeat. Junpei had lost the upper hand, and he knew it. He could feel his stomach begin to tense. Okay, back to investigating. Okay. What is this? An engine order telegraph. They use this on old ships to adjust the speed of the ship. Like the gear shift in the car? Well, it's a little different. This device doesn't connect directly to the engine. In short, it's a transmitter. The navigation officer uses it to set the speed of the ship, and it sends a signal to the engine. There's a handle on top of it, which can be moved back and forth to... Hold on. Huh? There is no handle. You're right. There isn't. It looks as though it was deliberately removed. Okay. Replacement handle, okay. Steering wheel. There are handles placed at regular intervals so that it's easy to turn. Old school. Hey, the handle. Did I have to, like, touch it from here? Looks like the steering wheel moves. So it would seem. I noticed something else as well. What's that? Well, when you move this wheel, the compass also moves. What do you mean? The ship, it's moving. Ha! Tricked you, didn't I? I mean, the wheel and the compass must be connected to one another somehow. Do you think that's important? Well, let's try turning it again. So first we need south. No, wait. South? West? What are you doing? I will need to start again. The navigation here is not that well. I mean, I pressed stop and it didn't stop in time. Okay, south, then west. Okay. You can just watch it up in ship log if you forget it. Southwest? Southwest, okay. It's this, right? Northwest. Okay. East. East and north. I don't think I need to switch directions though, like I do. But oh well. Did I do it? Okay. I think I did. What the? The handle came off. Huh. Stooping so low, RU0. Okay, now we have a handle. I sure hope this handle fits. Yes, it fits. Excellent. That should allow us to operate the engine order telegraph. Let's give it a shot. Okay. And once again, you can look it up in nautical charts in the files. So first we need full, then half, then slow, then full again, then half, then dead, and stop. Huh? That's weird. I thought I put it in the right speed. Did I mess up? No, I don't think so. Look, something's happened on the back wall of the wheel house. Wheel house? Oh, right, that's where we are. Yeah, you're right. Let's check it out. Where? There's something on the wall that looks kind of like an arrival board. There are a whole bunch of words on the left side of the display. What the hell is this? There are names of the ports across the world. I imagine it's showing us a ship's route. You know, just like the ones you might see at an airport. Oh, I get it. It does look... Okay, yeah. Oh! This looks familiar. I saw something earlier that's the same shape of this hole. I know it. Okay. I imagine the pocket watch is intended to go in there. However, we may need to do something with the watch first. The mechanical pocket watch with a spring. It doesn't appear to be working. The hands have stopped at 5 minutes 39 seconds past 10 o'clock. Turning the knob does nothing. Yeah, it's probably broken. It looks as though you could move the hands, however. But it doesn't work. Okay, he took my pocket watch and he's gonna set the time right. Okay, thank you for actually doing this puzzle for us, Ace. Should be fine now. Yeah. Can't be the only one who likes the music in this part of the game. Okay. Actually, yeah, can you just put it into... Okay. How the hell it reads it? I have no idea. Well done, Junpei, but it was half your job. Clover! What? Look, we unlocked the door. Now we can get out of this route. Wait a second. What? Oh. Well, let's go then. Clover. How about the right door? Or is it the one we came through? Huh! Oh! I didn't think we will be, like... out of the way. Okay. The space they found themselves in outside of the wheelhouse was far too narrow to be called a hallway. On their left was a wooden door. Jumpy pushed it open and stepped into the room beyond. It was full of all manner of turn-of-the-century electronic equipment. Most of them were things they'd never seen before. They had no idea what they might have been for, let alone how to operate them. One smaller machine had a metal bar that ended in a circular handle. Ace seemed to recognize it. Ah, yes, a telegraph key. These were used to transmit Morse code a long time ago. Why do you know so much about this? He turned and slowly took it in the room. This must be the communication office. Across the room from the door they'd entered through was another door. A metal plaque was nailed to it. It read Captain's Quarters. That's what it says. Then, do you think? I am Zero, the captain of this ship. Nah, don't think so. Ace swallowed. Jumpy could feel his hands begin to sweat. Only Clover seemed unaffected. Well, we won't know if we don't open it. She walked up to the door and put her hand to the knob. It opened easily and without so much as the pause. She walked in. Jumpy and Ace followed. The first thing they saw was a man on the floor covered in blood. Maybe it's like in the first movie of Saw. Maybe it is, Zero and he's actually not dead. Jumpy felt his body seize up. His mouth went dry and he felt very, very cold. The blood in his veins, slowed to crawl and his heart tightened like a fist. This was the third time he'd seen the horror of death laid out before him. He didn't think it was something he could stand to see much more of. Still, he had begun to accept that whatever it was that he saw, whatever happened to him, was beyond his control, and whatever force controlled him was driven by a determination that he could not hope to match. A sense of helplessness, of desperation, washed over him. It left behind a feeling of utter emptiness that wormed its way through his body like acid. Then he realized they had yet to check the man's pulse. Perhaps he was still alive. Nah, you really think so? He was pale as hell. Fueled by that spark of hope, Jumpy ran to the man's body, and his heart fell. His fingers on the man's neck felt no pulse. His pupils had dilated, and he wasn't breathing. Jumpy lifted the man's already stiff body. There was a deep red wound on his chest. Jumpy did not have to wonder long at what could have made such a wound. An axe. What a surprise. This actually reminds me of my ending I got in this game when I first went through it on my DS. For lying next to the corpse was an axe. The entire blade of it was drenched in bright red blood. From the shape of the man's wound, there could be no doubt that it had been made by an axe. Jumpy looked at the body again. A lake of blood stretched out around him. It was wearing the clothes of ship's captain, although they were stained with blood. Captain. Did that mean that this man was Zero? On his left hand was a bracelet. The number on the bracelet was 0. Huh, 0. It was only when that Junpei noticed that stench of blood that filled the room. Huh. He couldn't help but laugh. There was nothing else for him to say. It was too simple, too obvious, too straightforward. If there hadn't been a dead man on the floor, Junpei might have thought it a joke. Another escape sequence. Camera? Blood? Music box. What's the deal with this? Is it some kind of code? There are 4 rows of numbers and letters. They all start with a 0 and end with 8. Maybe this has something to do with number bases. Let's check it out. Numerals system chart. Whatever it means. I guess it's gonna help us in the... Huh? 10 in base 10 is written as in hexadecimal, therefore 11 is B, 12 is C, so you mean 10 is A, and so on. This chart showed the rules for each numeral system. Interesting. Huh. Well, I guess it does change. The hell is this? Huh. Junpei snorted with grim humor for the second time since he'd come into the room. The 4 screens along the bottom had a single letter each, spelling out 0. Junpei felt as though he was being mocked. The real villain was somewhere laughing at him. What do you think? He turned to Clover, who was standing next to him. Her voice was almost too low to hear. Nothing. Of course, Junpei could hardly blame her. Given the strain she was surely under, Junpei was somewhat surprised she had responded at all. Still, he had to ask. He gestured toward the corpse. What about him? Do you think that's really 0? Clover shook her head weakly. There's no way that's him. Didn't I tell you already? 0 is one of us. Yeah, right. Well, even if he wasn't one of us. There's no way that man could be 0. Don't you get it? The letters that spell 0 on the TV screen, the captain's clothes he's got on, and of course the bracelet with a 0 on it. It's too obvious. Look, this is 0, right here. Is that body 0? Doesn't that seem kind of funny to you? You're right. Only an idiot wouldn't see through something like that. No, that's not the point. I'm not trying to make fun of them for thinking a trick like this would work. I'm sure they didn't think it would work, which makes me wonder, why did they do it? I think this is a challenge from the person who's really behind all this. He's making fun of us. Don't you get it? If whoever killed this guy really wanted us to think this corpse was Zero, they'd never have to put a bracelet on him. Walking about with a Zero bracelet would be like hanging a sign around his neck that said, "I did it." Anyone with a brain would be able to see that this guy is supposed to look like everything Zero is supposed to be, just like we did. The killer must have known we wouldn't think he was Zero and put the bracelet on him anyway. Do you know why? Why? Like I said, he's mocking us. Too bad, suckers. This isn't Zero. It's the same bad joke a lot of criminals like to play. They'll just sit back and watch people run in circles. Look, here I am. What's wrong, guys? Come on, catch me if you can. That's really twisted. But it almost seemed kind of childish. Yeah, you're right. It's really childish. It's like it's just a game to whoever this person is. That's what seems funny to me. Jumpy bent down next to the corpse. Alright, let's get back to the point. Who killed this man? I don't know. And what's this guy deal? Who is he? How would I know that? If I knew anything, I would have told you. You have no idea who he is? Why would I? Jumpy sat back on his haunches and thought. We should check and see if he's got anything on him that might tell us who he is. Give me a hand here, Clover. What? We've gotta flip over him over, I mean. How else are we gonna search his pockets? Clover didn't move. Jumpy had no choice but to move the body on his own. He grabbed hold of an area not completely covered in blood and showed. It took a moment, but eventually Jumpy felt the man's bulk begin to shift. But just as it did, something fell from the man's left wrist. The bracelet with Zero on the face. Lastly, let us discuss how to remove the bracelets. There are only two ways to do so. 1. You escape from the ship. 2. Your heart rate reaches 0. In other words, once the bracelet is taken outside the confines of the ship or detects that its wearer heartbeat has fallen to 0, it will shut down automatically. Jumpy stared at the bracelet. This man, he's dead, isn't he? What a surprise. No, it's just, I guess I didn't really think about it until right now. If his bracelet's off, that means he's dead. Well, it's pretty obvious that he's dead. You don't really need to look at his bracelet to figure out that he's dead. Yeah, I guess you're right. It is pretty obvious. He looks a lot better than the other bodies we have seen, though, you know. I mean, if there wasn't all this blood, he'd almost look like he was still alive. I mean, I know it's kind of messed up thing to say, but he kinda has it better, you know. Dying from a bomb going off inside you. I mean, that's just... Some of Snake's bones went right through his skin. I think the explosion must have thrown him against the wall or something. There was a broken bone just sticking out of his left arm. Suddenly Jumpy realized that he was sane. How could he have been so cruel? He clapped his hands over his mouth. But it was already too late. He turned to look at Clover. She was glaring at him furiously. What did you just say? Her words sounded cold. He knew an apology could hardly atone for what he'd done, but he tried anyway. Oh man, I am so sorry. I shouldn't have said that. I really don't know what I was thinking. I mean, no, it's not what I'm talking about. What did you say about his arm? Arm? Yes, his left arm. You said it, didn't you? Well, yeah, I did, but... I mean, didn't you see it too? Of course not. I could barely look at him. Clover took a quick deep breath. Are you sure it was his left arm? Jumpy thought back. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. And he had a broken bone, right? What the hell are you getting at here? Just shut up and answer me. She showed her face closer to him. He could see the fire in her eyes. Jumpy winced and swallowed. Yeah, he did. It was pretty bad too. The bone was sticking out of the arm. No sooner were the words out of his mouth than Clover's expression changed. Suddenly she was crying. Jumpy wasn't sure what to do. Thank you. Huh? It was close to the last thing he had expected to hear. Jumpy had no idea what had just happened. He didn't think he'd done anything worthy of thanks, and he couldn't understand why she would have chosen that moment to begin crying. So he simply stood there, confused. Thank you, Jumpy. She thanked him again, and then something even stranger happened. Oh, this is kind of sweet. Clover threw herself into Jumpy's surprised arms. Hey, what's going on with you? I'm sorry, I'm so happy. Why? The body in the shower room, it isn't his. It isn't my brother. What? Huh? It's not Snake. Why on earth would you think that? Because his left arm is... She stopped herself. I'm sorry. I really shouldn't be talking about this. Jumpy decided it would be prudent not to press her for any more information. Maybe he hadn't like a real arm, maybe a prosthetic or something. I don't know how to pronounce it in English, sorry, but I guess you got the idea. If she did not wish to tell him, she certainly had the reason for doing so. Perhaps more importantly, however, if Clover was so certain, then she was likely right. That meant that the body in the shower room wasn't Snake. It wasn't much, but that knowledge lifted some of the weight from Jumpy's heart. He's still alive. I'm so happy. Tears shone in her eyes. Those tears melted Jumpy's heart. As she cried, she had pushed herself up against his chest like a child. Jumpy put his arms around her and held her tight. Jumpy, you were right. No matter what happens, you can never lose hope. You have to remember what's most important, and that's to have faith and to have love. If you can remember all of those, that will bring you good luck. Clover reached into her pocket and pulled something out. It was a laminated bookmark with a 4-leaf clover. I only made it here because you gave me this. I was suspicious of everybody and I was angry and miserable. But because I had this 4-leaf clover, because of what you said to me, Jumpy hadn't thought his words would had such an effect on her. Her words were making him feel a little awkward. Thank you so much, Jumpy. She looked up at him. He scratched his nose and pretended to notice something interesting somewhere else in the room. You're so funny, Jumpy. If you really want to thank somebody, you should be thanking Santa. Santa? Why? Well, he was the one who gave me that thing. And the words for each leaf, I got that from him too. Then suddenly, Clover broke away from Jumpy. Huh? He looked confused. He hadn't thought she'd react that poorly. Clover began to pace across the room. 6 steps to the left, 6 steps to the right. Another, okay. And then she stopped. Did Santa really tell you those things? Her eyes were serious, but not angry. Yeah, he did. Did I, say something wrong? Oh no, not at all. In fact, this could be really good news. I think. You think? Santa knew about the words and the clover. The only people who should know about that are the other subjects. Subjects? The other people who were in the experiment 9 years ago with my brother and me. But he's blind. And I was part of Nevada test group, so neither of us would be able to recognize the faces of the people who were in this boat. Whoa, time out. Jumpy held his hands. He took a deep breath and let it out. Let's just calm down for a second, okay? Start from the top. Don't start with the end and then jump to the middle. You gotta start at 1 and then move to 2 and 3 and 4 and so on. If you don't tell me the stuff in the right order, I'm never gonna be able to figure it out. Clover nodded. Alright, let's start with this experiment. What happened on this boat 9 years what happened on this boat 9 years ago? Do you know about morphogenetic fields? Yeah, I believe I heard something about it in this game already. Wait a second, guys. He did, and the realization sent chills down Jumpy's spine. Alright, how about this? Theory of telepathic mechanism. Jumpy recounted what Lattice had told him earlier. Clover nodded. Telepathy, huh? Well, that's not really it, but I suppose it's similar. So they were testing telepathy on this ship? Yeah, I guess so. So, what exactly did they have you guys do? The same thing that we are doing now. Exactly the same thing. What? The nonary game. 9 people were put on this boat, and 9 others were put in the building in Nevada, and the game started. Are you kidding me? Jumpy grabbed the sides of his head. Look, I'm sorry, but I don't get it. What do the nonary game and some telepathy experiment have to do with each other? Clover bit her lip. She blinked back sudden tears. What had happened to her in Nevada? The ability to access a morphogenetic field is affected by a couple of things. The first is epiphany, and the other is danger. You know how sometimes when you are up against a really tough problem, and then the answer just kind of pops into your head? That's an epiphany. And what you learn from the epiphany can be transmitted with telepathy. When you add danger to that equation, then it gets easier to transmit that information over telepathy. So you're saying the nonary game was supposed to introduce that element of danger? Yeah, but it couldn't be just any old danger. It had to be life and death. And someone did actually die. A girl. Jumpy felt the sudden grip of despair in his heart. Something deep and distant and powerful squeezed, and for a moment he felt very, very empty and alone. She was on the boat with my brother. I was in Nevada, and so I never met her, but I did hear her name. Her name was, The sound of the door open. Every fucking time, really? Jumpy spun around. Oh, my apologies. I seem to have disturbed you. Yeah, again. You two must have strong stomachs. I can't imagine how you could stay in this room for so long. Ace glanced down at the floor, at the corpse covered in blood. At any rate, Jumpy, would you be so kind as to come and help me with something? I'm having a little trouble and I could really use your assistance. Come on, it will only take a moment. With that, he turned and walked back towards the communications office. Clover waited until he was out of sight, then spoke in a small, quiet voice. I don't want Ace to hear us. We can talk about this later. Huh? Hey, wait. Clover ignored him. From outside, Jumpy could hear Ace calling. Jumpy, what are you doing in there? Hurry up. Grumbling to himself, Jumpy stomped off toward the communications office. Wait, am I in communications office? Because it doesn't look like one. I mean, maybe I'm checking the wrong table. Small screwdrivers. Okay. Oh, you can actually combine these things. Alright, the screwdriver ought to make sure to work on this music box. And we got the cylinder. Ink. Probably I can combine this. Now we have to find a kind of paper or something. It looks as though the drawer is the only thing that's locked. I don't see a keyhole though. An electric lock perhaps? Take a look at the left side of the drawer. Yeah, there's some cables over here. It must mean... blank. There's nothing written on it. I don't need anything written on it. Now I just gotta roll the cylinder across the piece of paper. And if I'm right, the ink should... Morse code part. You can look at it in different directions though. Well, I guess you should look at this like this, since there's like last symbol is missing, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it should be like this, right? An early telecommunications device, most likely used to transmit radio signals over some sort. I experimented with it earlier, but no to avail. I imagine it's broken. What? Model of a steam train. Who knows? Okay. Right, I got the Morse code I'm supposed to enter. If I do this right, something will happen. Bingo. That was easy. Excellent work, Jumpy. Good job. You seem to have figured it out. You have unlocked the drawer. Let's check it out, though. The red file lay in the drawer. Jumpy reached down and picked it up. The cover read Alice. All eyes. Alice. Did that mean? Jumpy couldn't hold back. He had to know what was in that file. Wow. Looks like an ancient Egyptian. Each page was covered with strange characters. They looked like tiny drawings of birds, snakes, insects, horned animals, wings, and even kneeling humans. There were many pages in the file, and each was full of these strange symbols. What the hell is this? He didn't realize he'd spoken out loud until Ace looked over at him. They are hieroglyphs, a form of writing used in ancient Egypt. Ancient Egypt? That's right. Can you read them? Of course. I can't. What would make you think I could? What the hell? Jumpy flipped through a few more pages. It wasn't just 1 or 2 pages that were covered in the strange symbols. Every single page was covered in them. Trying to read them was pointless. Jumpy wasn't going to waste any more time with them. He made to close the file. And something fell out. He bent down and picked it up. A key card. There was a symbol on that reminded Jumpy of the symbols for the Saturn and the Mercury key cards. This one, however, had a dot in the center of the male symbol. Uranus. That's the Uranus symbol. I'm sorry. I'm 5 years old. Jumpy looked over to see Ace examining the card. In addition to the Uranus symbol, there were 3 words engraved in the card as well. On the lower right it said Bottom Deck Library. This must be a key to the library on the bottom deck. Really? So it would seem. The bottom deck, the library. Jumpy remembered something he'd heard from Seven when they'd been in the chemical closet. Alice sleeps in the small chamber past the forest of knowledge beneath the navel of the gigantic. It's where she is hidden. Did beneath the navel mean the bottom deck? Did the forest of knowledge mean the library? It should be. If it did, then was Alice in a room somewhere beyond the library? Creepy. What's wrong? Jumpy blinked. Only then did he notice Ace was looking at him, curiosity and concern written across his face in equal parts. There was no reason for Jumpy to hide his thoughts. He began to explain his theory to Ace. Then he stopped. It wouldn't make any sense if Ace didn't know who Alice was supposed to be. So he told Ace everything June had told him. About the Egyptian priestess, about Ice 9, and finally about the woman who wouldn't melt, who had been recovered from the Titanic disaster. She told him about how she had been called All Eyes, which had eventually turned to Alice, and how she had been purchased by an English millionaire who called himself Lord Gordane, and how Gordane had hid Alice somewhere on the ship. And you think that he hid her in a small room beyond the library on the bottom deck? Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess so. I see. Ace stared off into the distance, his hand slowly and absent-mindedly stroking his beard. After a few moments, his hand stopped. He turned slowly to look at Jumpy, and his brows drew together. Jumpy, have you ever heard of the term CAS? CAC? It stands for Cells Alive System. Never heard of it. It is an advanced technology for freezing and preserving organic matter. Put simply, it is a technique that allows one to freeze things without the formation of ice crystals. Normally, if you freeze something fresh, water within its cells expands as it crystallizes, damaging the cell membrane. CAS, however, works differently. The object to be frozen is supercooled using magnetic fields and then frozen instantly and uniformly, giving ice crystals no time to form. It was originally developed for the preservation of food as an alternative to the normal freezing process. Now, however, there are rumors that it can be used for other things. What do you mean, other things? Well, there are obvious medical uses, but perhaps also space travel. Space travel? Are you serious? Surely you have heard of suspended animation, cryogenic freezing? It's a fairly common idea in science fiction books and films. People are sometimes frozen for especially lengthy journeys through space. Yeah, I heard that. That was when Jumpy understood what Ace was suggesting. Whoa. Wait a minute. Ace looked at him and raised an eyebrow. Are you saying that Alice was frozen using that CAS thing? Well, I'm sure the possibility is quite low, but it is a possibility. If this special ice you call Ice 9 does indeed exist, and if CAS were used to freeze her into that sort of ice instantaneously, you think she could be alive? But how do you actually unfreeze her? Then. Anyway. Well, I can't say for sure, of course. I'm only talking about possibilities. The melting point for Ice 9 is 69 degrees, right? If she were put somewhere where she could reach that temperature, that's nuts. Are you really saying she could have defrosted and started walking about? You're quite right, it does sound unbelievable. But if she had, then we would have an explanation for the man we found dead on the floor. You mean the guy dressed like a captain? Yes. What kind of explanation? He was dead when we found him. Clearly, he was murdered. But if he was murdered, then by who? Zero, probably? It couldn't have been one of us. That would be impossible. In order to enter the captain's quarters, one must first open door 1. That door that requires the Earth key prevented us from accessing door 1. Who was it that opened that door? Sand and Lotus. Right. Clearly the two of them could not have opened the door 1. Or any other door, for that matter. Who else, then, could have done so? Jumpy thought for a second. No, nobody. After Sand and Lotus had used the Earth key, they turned back and met up with Jumpy and June, who had just returned from EDAC. The 4 of them then proceeded to return to large hospital room to reunite with Ace, 7 and Clover. When Jumpy and his team had gone into the shower room, Ace, 7 and Clover had been left in the large hospital room, but they would have been unable to open door 1. Perhaps when Jumpy and June had taken the elevator to door 2 then? No, that would have been impossible. They had been gone only 5 minutes. No human being could have run to the captain's quarters, killed the man in there, run back in 5 minutes. It would be impossible for any of us to be the murderer. That being the case, Who could have killed him? Wouldn't it make sense if his killer was someone who had been in the ship for some time? A person like that would know the ship well. They would know the locations of all the hidden passages and secret doors. The numbered doors would mean nothing to someone like that. It would be a simple thing for them to enter the captain's quarters. Then you're saying the killer was Alice? Makes no sense. If so, she must be already unfrozen. It was Jumpy's turn to raise an eyebrow. Ace drew his thumb across his lips thoughtfully. Well, this is all only one possible theory. All eyes. Alice. Was Alice indeed somewhere in the ship with them? Jumpy had only one clue. The key card in his hand. It would be hoped grant him access to the forest of knowledge. But beyond that, what waited for him beyond the forest of knowledge? Whatever might be there, however, would have to wait. At the moment, there was nothing Jumpy could do. He gripped the key card together and shoved it into his pocket. Material? File. Oh. And we have a unique key. Yeah, should not forget about this. Okay. Is this the same room? Jumpy, what are you doing? We have searched the wheelhouse. Oh, okay. Don't you think it would be wise to investigate the captain's quarters? Yeah, I just kind of thought it was the same room. Camcorder. Looks like it's pointed at the door. Well, the power's on. Why would someone want a videotape at a door? Stranger kinda. Wait, I don't get it. Oh, okay. That's where we use the key. It's not really a mine, it's just empty spots to put something in it, I guess. Okay, so let me tell you what you actually have to do. This thing is gonna help you in this puzzle. And with all that talk about Alice and all eyes, you might think that that's what you need to put there. But it's not really. You have to put 0 here using the numbers. So I don't really know how you have to actually get that. I mean, well, it's not really random, but still, a little more clues would have been, you know, I mean, if there at least was written 0 somewhere on the door, that would be, you know, helpful. Okay, so for 0. Z will be 35 and so on. Yeah, can I input it? You don't have to tell me, I already inputted some numbers already. 35, E will be 14, R 27, O 24. Good job, Jumpy. I know, I'm smart. Excellent, you seem to have unlocked it. Good work, Jumpy. Alright, let's go. We did it. They stepped out of the captain's quarters and into another hallway. The hallway stretched out in front of Jumpy for a bit, before turning left, like a great backward L. Jumpy rounded the corner and took off down the straight way. He ran and ran and ran, and the end of the hallway was a door. He made straight for it. He was nearly halfway to it when he noticed a piece of paper in the middle of the floor. There was a piece of paper. What was a piece of paper doing in the middle of the hallway? Jumpy skipped it to a halt. He dropped down his hands and knees and quickly tore the paper off of the floor. A map. More specifically, a map of the ship's interior for the A deck. What's wrong? Ace, slightly slowered by virtue of his advanced age, had finally caught up to Jumpy. Jumpy said nothing, simply showed Ace what he had found. He looked at it long enough to determine what it was and nodded. Long enough? I see. With that, he began running again past Jumpy. Whatever. Okay, Jumpy shoved the map into his pocket and got up to follow Ace, but something stopped him. Hey, where's Clover? He turned around. Clover was nowhere to be seen. Damn it, what the hell is she up to? Jumpy muttered angrily under his breath and took off back the way he'd come. As he stopped around the corner, he saw her. She was standing in front of the door to the captain's quarters, her hand on the doorknob. As Jumpy watched, she closed it gently and quietly. What the hell are you doing? Nothing? What do you mean, nothing? Clover had unconsciously put her hands over the pockets of her jacket, as if trying to hide something. What the hell is that? What? You've got something in your pocket. What is it? Oh, this. This is a note. A note? Yeah. I found it in the pocket of the guy with the captain's clothes. It said something about the darkness of the sinister hand or something. What the hell? Let me see that. Hey, Jumpy, Clover, what are you two doing? Hurry up. Clover shrugged. I'll show it to you later, alright? Everything is later. Come on, girl. Come on, we gotta hurry. Before Jumpy could protest, she was gone. Around the corner and off down the long step of the L. A note? A note. Jumpy was curious. But there was something else that bothered him. Her pocket had been bulging, far more than it would from just a note. Jumpy did his best to convince himself that it would make sense later and ran off after Clover. Jumpy pushed through the door and found himself in a large room with a large set of stairs. It was just what he'd expected to see after reading the map. His "I see" after reading the map himself meant that Ace had probably realized the same thing. Jumpy looked around, but Ace was nowhere to be seen. He put his hand on the handrail and leaned over to look down. There he was. And not just Ace, Santa, June, Seven, and Lotus as well. Jumpy and Clover glanced at each other and hurried down the stairs. Okay, sorry about that. They reached B-Deck at the same time. Jumpy! Clover! June's face was excited. I can't see she's excited by the look at this picture, actually. Something had happened, that much Jumpy could tell by simply looking at her. What's up? Given their situation, it was not inclined to be excited about sudden developments. June, however, couldn't contain herself. We found it. Found what? We found it. What did you find? The last door. We found door 9. What? Come on, just follow us. We'll explain on the way. Okay, let's go. Seven turned and jogged off down the stairs. The rest followed. We finally made it. The relief and excitement in her voice echoed what each one of them felt. But you know, not more than 5 people can go through the door. How many people do we have right now? Yeah, it's finally time. Jumpy wasn't quite ready to believe they'd really done it. At least not just yet. Still, if everyone said that it was door 9, then it probably was. He could feel it, his heart racing. A mixture of anticipation and fear ran through his veins, and he could feel his legs shaking. He was doing his best to maintain a sense of healthy skepticism, but he couldn't deny that the prospect of escape was an exciting one. Can't tell them that I can, I mean, everyone would have been excited about it. But there was one thing he couldn't get off his mind. The number door could only accommodate between 3 and 5 people. There were 7 of them on their way to door 9. That meant that even if in the best case scenario there were... Wait! But what if, we take 4 and 3 people? The first 4 people will go through that room entirely, totally leaving that in the other. In another area, and then 3 left people will go through that. No? This won't work? He didn't have any solutions to that problem yet, but he was desperately hoping one would present itself. Jumpy looked over at the clock. The hands indicated that it was 4:30. They had 19 minutes before their time was up. Hey, Jumpy, June, what the hell are you two doing? Hurry it up. Santa's voice jolted Jumpy out of his whatever. Let's go, Jumpy. June took off down the stairs, jogging as quickly as she could. Jumpy followed. As a group, they piled onto the elevator and rode impatiently down the E-deck. It looked familiar, There was a metal grate between the 2 elevators. Seven grabbed hold of it and began to talk. I know I told you I'd explain it earlier, but honestly, there ain't much to explain. After we split off from you guys, the 4 of us got onto the elevator on the left, and that took us to the other side of the grate. After that, they'd headed down another hallway. It took them toward the bow of the ship and eventually to the number 6 that Junpei and June had found earlier. Before, they'd been able to open the door and keep going. As usual, they'd faced a locked door, but had been forced to complete 2 different areas before they could unlock it. Once they were through that door, there was another hallway that went in the other direction towards the stern. So, on your way, you found the elevator. That's right. So, in other words, you kinda did a lap, huh? You came from that side of the ship. Yeah. With that settled, Junpei looked around. So where's the number 9 door? Over here. Follow me. 7 began walking down the hallway that led toward the stern. Junpei and others broke into a jog to keep up with him. They had been walking for a while. June in silent step with Junpei when she spoke. You know, it's because of Santa that we are all here right now. Huh? That all 7 of us are going to doors 9. You don't get it? Santa, 7 and Lattice. What's their digital route? That's right. They could have just left me behind and keep going if they'd wanted to. But they didn't. Yes, because Santa wouldn't let them. He said we can't leave June behind. That's why we went looking for you guys. And then you got on the elevator and went back to the central staircase. That's right. Well, I wouldn't have called that one. But Santa would be the one to stick up for you. I mean, Junpei felt his eyebrows knit as he considered that. Oh, don't get me wrong. Perhaps June had sensed Junpei's concern. I don't mean that 7 and Lattice said they wanted to leave me behind. We were just talking about it, and Santa objected to it first. Junpei was about to respond when 7 suddenly stopped. In front of them stood a door. So is this? Junpei couldn't see 7's face, but he could see him nod. There's no other place for us to go. Nope. Just look around. At the end of the hallway was a thick iron wall. To the left and right, other hallways led to the port and starboard sides of the ship, but they were both closed off by thick metal grates. It looked as though 7 was right. The door in front of them was their only choice. But where's 9? Alright, let's get moving. He pulled open the door and walked in. Junpei took a deep breath and followed. It appeared they'd been telling the truth. The first thing Junpei saw as he entered the room was the number 9. Like the others, it was a rough thing made of red paint. The door it decorated sat on the back wall of rectangular room. Junpei ran up to it. It was a large double door with powerful styling. Something about it was almost majestic, and it made the red paint look especially garish. Are you serious? You really hoped it will be open? The red was bolted on the wall next to the door. Its display read vacant. Finally, they'd arrived. Junpei felt a flood of emotion wash over him. He felt a chill down his spine, his back, and his chest tightened even as his blood began to boil. He was about to speak when... Junpei, look behind you. He turned around. Junpei could scarcely believe what he saw. A door had a 9. There was another one. Hey, what the hell? What the hell is going on here? His words came slowly and his brain struggled to understand what he had seen. On shaky legs, he made his way to the second 9. It was a small door set parallel to the door they'd come through, but in the other corner of the room. There was no mistaking the number, and if any more proof was needed, a red was bolted to the wall near the door. He grabbed the handle and shook the door, not because he expected it to open, but because he had to make sure it was real. Why the hell are there 2 doors? It was Ace who spoke first. Do you think perhaps one is the right door and the other is the wrong one? Lotus was skeptical. I don't know about that. That seems unlikely. What makes you say so? Well, think about all the rooms we have been through so far. They are full of puzzles, but there are always hints about how to solve them. I'm pretty sure there aren't any rooms where we just had to go with our best guess and leave it to instinct to solve the puzzle. Do you really think that at the very end of the game Zero is going to suddenly throw in something that depends entirely on luck? Then you're saying there's some sort of hint on this room? No, I don't think there is a hint anywhere in here. I searched it very well when I was in here before. I didn't find anything that might have been a hint though. Well then, that means... Yeah, both of these are right door. I mean, if you think about it. Zero never actually said there was only one door with a 9 on it. I don't know about this. Jumpy began to mutter to himself. So if there are 2 number 9 doors, if we split it up right, that's not gonna work. Jumpy blinked and looked up at Clover. She held out her hand. You've got a notebook and pen, right? Can I borrow them? Look at this. Clover opened the notebook to a blank page and set it down on the desk. Everyone else gathered around her and watched as she wrote down a series of numbers. You get it? The numbers on the top are all the combinations with the digital roots of 9. The numbers on the bottom are the people who don't fit. There's only 8 possibilities. It was split up into 2 groups of 3 or 4 people. So, if 3 people go through the door, then 4 are left behind. If 4 go, then 3 are left behind, right? Clover nodded, almost as if she were pleased with herself for solving a difficult math problem. There were always 16 left. If only we found Snake. Another group could have gone through too, you know. Silence lay across everyone like a thick, heavy blanket. No one spoke. Their faces were blank, desperate for something else to look at. Jumpy turned his eyes to the room around him. As he did, he began to wonder. What was it? The walls were covered with candles. The wavering flame made the shadows of Jumpy and his companions look as though they were dancing. 2 rows of wooden pews filled most of the room. Between them was a strip of rich red carpet. Looks like a blood. The carpet ran straight through the room, ending at the end of pointed to the stern of the boat. At the other end of the carpet. How they didn't notice it. Wait a second. An altar? It was a recessed space sent into the wall between the 2 of the doors, other doors. Tell me it's a coffin. Sitting on the raised section of the altar was a coffin. Oh my god. But this is not a library, isn't it? No, it couldn't possibly be. But if it wasn't, then whose body occupied it? That was as far as Junpei wanted to pursue that line of thought. He decided not to think about the coffin for the time being. At that moment, Seven spoke. There was an edge of humor to his voice, but it was forced. Okay, I give up. Figured if we sat around her here long enough, someone would volunteer, but I guess nobody's got the guts to do it. Junpei didn't understand, and he wasn't the only one. What? You guys didn't figure it out yet. Ah, fine. Let me enlighten you. Clover was mostly right with her little explanation earlier, but she missed something. She wasn't really wrong. She just... screw it. Let me just write it out. What? If you're trying to leave with a group of 3 and a group of 4 and get everybody out, Clover's right. But there is another way, only one combination though. If you split us up into groups of 3, 3, and 1, you can make this combination. Wait, this means... Don't get me wrong here. I'm not trying to copy Ace or anything like that. Even if he hadn't been the hero back in the big hospital room, I'd still be saying the same thing. The same thing? Are you saying? Yeah, I am. I'll stay behind. Are you kidding me? Why are you acting so heroic all of a sudden? Are you some kind of idiot? It completely against this. I am. I'll be goddamned if I'm going to have to owe you for getting out of here. The rest of them began to speak all at once. I'm against it too. I didn't want to leave Ace behind, and I don't want to leave you either. Okay. Well, there you go, Seven. Proposal denied. Clover's right. There's gotta be a better way than this. Seven made some noise that was somewhere between a derisive snort and cough. Doesn't make any sense. He was doing his best to pretend they were making a foolish decision, but Junpei could see the twinkling of water at the corners of Seven's eyes. That was when Santa spoke. Whoa, hold on a minute. I haven't said anything yet. Excuse me? No one asks you. Until then, Junpei hadn't realized that Santa had stayed quiet for a whole discussion of Seven's fate. Something in his voice made Junpei uncomfortable. Are you agreeing? You want to leave him here? Santa shook his head. Nah, I'm against it. I don't want to leave Seven. Then I don't see how it matters. I said alone. I said I don't want to leave Seven alone. There was a dull shine in Santa's eyes. They were cold and hard. Junpei felt himself shiver. What the hell are you? What? You don't get it? I can't leave just one person. I need 2 more. 3 people, including Seven. I'll be leaving behind 3 people. Excuse me? You'll be leaving? That's my proposal. No, those are my orders. What do you mean orders? What the hell makes you think you can order us around? Who the hell's gonna listen to you? You all will? In 3 seconds you won't have a choice. What? 3, 2, 1. Santa was so fast Gympie could barely see him. When he moved, it was almost like watching a dance. His feet moving like lightning. His span and... Where did he get the gun? He had June. See, I told you. His lips curled into a cruel, mocking smile. A shudder traveled the length of Gympie's spine. His chest froze and he could feel his breath go stale in his lungs. Nothing made sense. Gympie felt as though his head were about to explode. Santa's sudden change in attitude, saying that he needed 2 more. The gun in his right hand, a revolver. Santa had grabbed June from behind and pressed what Gympie's shaken brain identified as a revolver roughly against her temple. What was he doing with the gun? Where on earth had Santa possibly found a gun? Gympie's questions roared in his mind, but his mouth refused to ask them. Why though? Seven spoke almost as though he had sensed Gympie's confusion. The gun's from the other room. What room? One of the rooms behind door 6. I should have known he was gonna do this. I should have taken the gun. Well, it's too late now, that is. Damn it. A mixture of fury and frustration twisted Seven's face, and he glared at Santa. Santa, for his part, didn't so much as flinch. The corner of his lip twitched into a slightly wider smile. Then the smile faded and he began to move. He walked backward, dragging June with him. Before long, his back was resting against the door. On the wall next to him was the rat. Are you fucking kidding me? Now, time for you to start following my orders. Ace, Lotus, congratulations, I have chosen you to come with me. Put your hands on the rat. That was what Santa had meant when he said he needed 2 more. Hey, you deaf? I gave you an order. Santa's eyes narrowed to slits. He glared at Ace and Lotus. They stayed frozen like deer caught in headlights of an oncoming car. Right. Fine. I didn't want to waste any bullets, but you guys just don't get it. No sooner were the words out of Santa's mouth than his hand twitched. He missed, right? A section of the floor exploded, scattering wooden splinters across the floor. A thin plume of smoke snacked out of the hole in the floor. I don't think it's a good idea to shoot inside of the ship, which is already about to sink, I mean. There could be no doubt that the gun was real and worked. But why? Santa, why are you? Clover's voice spoke of betrayal and disbelief. What the hell is wrong with me? Santa, I thought you were one of us. I thought we were friends. What? You knew about the leaf word and the 4-leaf clover. Santa's cheek twitched, almost imperceptibly. The hell is that shit? I've got no idea. You're lying. Shut up. Just shut up, you stupid bitch. You want me to put a bullet in your fucking head? Wow. Flecks of split flew from Santa's mouth. His face twisted with rage. Clover recoiled, her eyes wide. When she spoke, her voice was very small. Santa. He snorted, then shook his head vigorously and turned to face Ace and Lotus. Alright, assholes. What are you still standing there for? Get over here and scan those bracelets. I don't have all day. Oh, what's the matter? Your hearing starting to go? Going senile, maybe? Ace and Lotus still didn't move. It almost seemed as they couldn't move. June's face was pale behind Santa's arm. Her eyes were wild and her chest heaved. Okay. With every quick breath, like an animal cornered by a predator. Junpei's mind worked furiously. What were they going to do? Then he realized something. There was nothing they needed to do. There was nothing to debate. June's safety was the first priority. That much was obvious. Doing the Santa was meant that she would be safe from at least 2 threats. She wouldn't be shot, and she would leave the ship alive, along with Santa, Ace, and Lotus. There was only one thing for Junpei to do. He turned to Ace and Lotus. Please, go. Huh? But... Junpei, what are you saying? If you stay here, you're gonna be stuck, Junpei. And so will Clover and Seven. I know. But you don't need to worry about us. We'll figure something out. Right, Seven? Right. You just leave it to us. It's gonna piss me off to do what Santa says, but... Don't worry about me either. There's still something I have to take care of. But... No, you can't. Ace, Lotus, don't do it. Don't worry about me, please. Jin was almost crying. Junpei walked around behind Ace and Lotus. Without a word, he laid a hand on each of their backs and gently pushed them forward. They almost stumbled, then rightened themselves and took another step, and another. They turned around, and Junpei nodded. Ace and Lotus turned around again and walked slowly toward the door where Santa was waiting for them. After what seemed like an eternity, they stopped in front of the door and marked 9. Santa smiled. Alright, now let's get those hands on the scanner panel. What's the holdup? What, do you think I'm fucking around here? I don't give a shit about this girl. The red doesn't need a person, you know. All I need is the bracelet. You get it? Good. Now, put your fucking hands on the scanner. I'm not gonna say it again. He showed the revolver harder against June's head and she winced. Fine. Yeah. Just proceed with this. Come on already. The 4 asterisk. Yeah, we know that. Good job. Now let us pull that lever. As soon as the door opens, you get your ass in there. Try anything stupid, and you know what happens, right? Junpei could almost hear Lotus's teeth grind, probably. The door slid open. Yeah. Alright, go. Later. We may never see each other again, so... Huh? The gust of air is created cause the candles on the altar to flicker and die. The room fell silent. Junpei, Clover, and Seven had been left behind. Clover looked down at her hand and traced with her finger the faint blue veins that crisscrossed them. Seven showed his arms into the front of his overalls and scratched his stomach. Scratched. No one spoke. Silence made the air feel thick and oppressive. Desperate for something, anything, to occupy his mind, Jumpy walked to the larger of the two 9 doors. It's one they entered. He stood in front of it and looked at the red. Engaged. He moved to the smaller door. The digital route of the remaining people was 7. There was no possible way for them to open the door with 9 on it. If we find Snake, he has number 2, then we will be able to open the door. Great song. Jumpy touched the surface of the door. Yeah, like it will help you. The thought about June, about Akane Kurashiki. Was she safe? That was all that mattered to him. If she was alive, if she had escaped this horrible boat, that was what Jumpy prayed for. 7 came up next to him. He pulled off his hat, scratched his hat, and sighed. So, what do you want to do, Jumpy? What do you mean? What do I want to do? What can we do? 7 opened his mouth to respond when... A noise echoed through the room that was almost creepy. Someone was pounding on something vigorously. It wasn't mechanical. It was certainly human. Jumpy and 7 looked at one another. What the hell is that? Shh. Quiet. Clara... yeah. She put one finger to... yeah. The 3 of them listened, trying to determine where the sound was coming from. Where was it coming from? A coffin. Hey, I think it's coming from this coffin. You're right. Let's open it. But how? What are those muscles for? For show? You're telling me to force it open? Just shut up and try. There is a panel on it. Jumpy and 7 grabbed hold of the coffin. They tried to get a good grip with whatever. It's not gonna work. Man, it won't even budge. There was some sort of keypad attached to the coffin. Its purpose would not have been difficult to determine. Their eyes were almost immediately drawn to it. Not another one. Yeah, looks like it. Do you think we have to put in the right password or it won't open? I think so. The noise wasn't stopping. In fact, it was getting louder. They had no idea who was in the coffin, but they wanted out, and they wanted out now. They had no idea what they were supposed to do without a passcode. It didn't seem like there was a lot they could do. She had some kind of paper, she said. They couldn't even tell how many numbers the passcode needed to be. Isn't there a hint somewhere? Well, let's look for one. Unfortunately, there didn't seem to be anything near the coffin. Clover ran to examine the pews. 7 investigated the desk, but they turned up nothing. The sound still wouldn't stop. It wasn't a noise that belonged in that room. What was the passcode? What was Jumpy supposed to do? How was he supposed to figure it out? He needed something. The word blinked. Suddenly there was a voice inside of Jumpy's head. Truth had gone, and truth had gone. And now truth is asleep in the darkness of the sinister hand. What the hell was that? That voice? Gympie was utterly and completely baffled. Huh? What are you talking about? What's up? Seven and Clover ran over to him, but Gympie didn't know what to tell them. If he told them he'd heard a voice, they'd laugh or, worse, think he was going insane. So all he said was, "Oh, nothing." He cleared his throat a little too loud and looked pointedly down at his bracelet. There were a pair of small buttons protruding from either side of it. Gympie? Okay, by the way, if you didn't complete the normal ending before going, to the true ending, then you would already would have met to be continued screen. But since normal ending is already done in my save file, we are going to continue, hopefully. So I don't know why. Here it's supposed to be the third option. I don't really know why. Right, left, right, left, right, left. Does anyone know why? Why? What? 8 numbers blinked on and then off on the bracelet display. Gympie checked one last time. 1 4 3 8 3 4 2. Should I write it down? What the hell were those numbers? Oh my gosh, are those? Gympie didn't answer. He simply walked straight to the coffin. Will he do it himself? With trembling fingers, he punched them in. Okay. What was all of them? That was all of them. Oh, fuck. All of them. He punched the E button. There was a moment of complete silence. Then there was the sound of a coffin lid unlatching. Someone sat up out of it. Clover. Snake! Oh, is that you, Clover? I apologize for worrying you. What the hell is those clothes? Snake! Oh my, how did you... Gympie and Seven, is that you? Is everyone else there as well? Just like Winkle. Winkle. Damn it. What the hell is this? I don't know this name. Still, it was very much like Snake, just simply cut to the heart of the matter and ask. Gympie and Seven shared a wry smile. Now we can go through 9 door. Clover's eyes were filled with tears. You are back. With a cry of joy, she leaped into Snake's arms. Oh, this is so sweet. I'm gonna cry. Gently now. My body's still a little weak. You're back! Clover looked like nothing so much as the lost child who had finally found her home. She cried and cried. Her eyes were red and her nose was running. She hiccuped and gasped, as if she were about to begin hyperventilation. You're back. You're really back. Here. Back. Whatever. Her voice was happy but almost desperate, as if she feared he would disappear again if she stopped talking to him. Tear after tremendous tear rolled its way down her face. Her small arms strained as she clutched Snake's body as tightly as she could. Perhaps she had to convince herself he was real. Perhaps she was worried he could be gone the moment she let go. Perhaps she simply didn't know what else to do. Oh, you're back. Come now, what's gotten into you? You're acting as though I have returned from the grave. You have no idea, Snake. Not as though you did. I really thought you were dead. Huh? You jerk. Idiot. Clover broke into sobs so great she could no longer talk. It was a touching reunion between brother and sister. Even though Junpei knew they had little time and every minute they waited was a minute they wasted, it felt cruel to pull them apart. Junpei and Seven sat down on one of the pews, waiting for Clover to calm down before explaining to Snake what had transpired. That was one of the sweetest moments ever. I see. I believe I understand things rather well now, thank you. In the shower room, there is a dead body wearing my clothes. Because of that, you thought that I was dead, correct? He had quickly and neatly summarized the events of several hours. Junpei nodded. He also discovered a corpse in the captain's quarters and Santa turned on. You here. In this room. Do I have it straight? Seven had been rather surprised to learn of the dead body in the captain's quarters. With everything that had taken place, Junpei had simply forgotten to mention it to him. Well then, I got a pretty decent idea of what happened while I was indisposed, but it's still something of a mystery who did all this and why. The corpse in the shower room that looked like me, and the corpse in the captain's quarters. Why were they killed in the way they were? You don't know? No. Why would I? The guy in the shower. We don't know who he is, so let's call him Mr. X. Anyway, Mr. X is wearing Snake's clothes. But you're wearing some kind of weird robes. That means someone took your clothes and put them on Mr. X. We need to figure out who that was. I apologize, but I have no idea who might have done this to me. I only just now woke up. I was unconscious during all the events you just described to me. They must have undressed me and changed my clothes during that time. When were you knocked out? When we split up to look for the red. Where did they get you? Do you remember? It was a small room in one of the hallways on C deck. What happened? The same thing that happened to every one of us when we were abducted. A can releasing some sort of gas was thrown into the room. I believe the gas is some sort of incapacitating agent. Then that means it was 0. Looks that way, huh? There's something else I have to tell you. When I woke up, I was in this coffin. Junpei crossed his arms and thought. Why had 0 made Mr. X wear Snake's clothes? How had the results of that trick been feeded 0? It was a mystery. Maybe he wanted to show everyone's true faces? I don't know. He also didn't have a satisfactory explanation for how he discerned the key code for the coffin. It just didn't make sense. Truth had gone, and truth had gone. What did that mean? Did it mean anything? And why had Junpei felt compelled to push the buttons on the bracelet after hearing them? Seven had asked him about it while they waited for Clover to finish crying. He had no answer for him then, and he still didn't. All he could say was that it seemed to have been a subconscious reaction. His fingers had simply moved of their own accord. It was the only explanation that made any sort of sense, and it made almost no sense. Junpei had no idea what any of it meant. His mind was a maelstrom of mysteries, clues, theories, and more mysteries. He could barely think. And of course, Snake and Clover had been subjects in a similar experiment 9 years ago. The ability to access a morphogenetic field is affected by a couple of things. The first is epiphany, and the other is danger. And someone did actually die. A girl. Her name was, There had been another experiment conducted on the same ship 9 years ago. A girl had died during it. Morphogenetic field theory. The two murders, switching clothes. The nonary game. And whatever strange thing was happening to Junpei himself. The maelstrom in his head spat out words and ideas that disappeared back into it almost as soon as he grasped them. But as he struggled through them, Junpei began to realize something. There was something that tied all of them together. Zero. He was the ringleader, the person who had trapped 9 people on the sinking ship. Zero knew everything. If they could uncover Zero's identity, all of their questions would be answered. Who was Zero? Junpei had the beginning of the theory. If he could only test it, or perhaps... At any rate, we'll have plenty of time to decipher the details later. For now, it is of utmost importance that we escape. Junpei, it was 4:30 the last time you checked the clock, yes? That means we have less than an hour. We must hurry. Hey, how are we gonna get out of here? Isn't that obvious? Through the other numbered 9 door? Oh yeah. Yeah, you're right. With the snake, we can open the door. Don't tell me you hadn't figured that out. As they snipped back and forth, Junpei glanced at Snake's left hand. He was wearing a bracelet with a 2 on it. Come on, you gotta tell me these things. I assumed you'd figured it out. I forget it. Let's just get it going. 7 stomped off toward the smaller number 9 door. Clover, Snake, and Junpei followed. 7 quickly laid his hand on the red. An asterisk appeared on the screen. Okay, everyone, just continue doing this. Wow, Snake's hand was so white. It's too pale. Alright, you guys ready to go? Yes, yep. Finally, the 9th door. Before we go in, I'd like to check something. You want to check something? Yeah, but before I do, 7, could you pull the lever? I want to make sure we can verify with just the 4 of us. What do you mean? We don't need... Just do it, alright? But if the door opens, don't go in yet, okay? Please. This is really important. I really need to check this, okay? Work with me here. Junpei looked directly into 7's eyes. The older man looked back for a moment, then nodded. Fine. I don't get it. What is he trying? 7 pulled down the lever and door 9 creaked open, then they waited. Alright, that means the 4 of us can go into door 9. This means nothing. I mean, the door already opened. What he tried to accomplish by checking this? So we knew that already. It's obvious. Yeah, you're right, it is. Now that happens, what happens if we add Zero's bracelet? What? Zero's bracelet? Why, don't you take it out, Clover? She took it! For a moment Clover looked surprised, but she recovered quickly and stuck her tongue out at Junpei. So you did know I had it. I picked it up because I thought it might be useful sometime. Zero. That's smart. She reached into one of the pockets of her voluminous jacket and produced a bracelet. Junpei took it from her and turned to 7. This was on the left hand of the corpse in the captain's quarters. If you look at it, you can see it's got a 0 on the face. Just to make this a little easier to talk about, I'm gonna call the guy we found dead in the captain's quarters Cap. If Cap was really 0, then I should be able to open the door 9 with just me, Clover, and his bracelet. But most importantly, if you were Cap, and this was your game, would you really put one of these bracelets on yourself? Anyway, let's just give it a shot. Clover, give me your hand. Okay. What? You're not trying to go through with only Clover, right? After he and Clover scanned their bracelets, he waved Caps over the scanner panel. Then he pulled the lever. However, the door didn't open. The red display read, "Error." I knew it. Now, what does this tell us? Maybe the bracelet has to be on your wrist in order for it to work? No, that's impossible. Did you see how the panel showed the 3rd asterisk when I scanned Cap's bracelet? Whether or not it's on your wrist, it doesn't matter. All you have to do is put the bracelet near the panel for it to register. 7 waved the bracelet in front of the scanner. Sure enough, the single asterisk appeared in the red. Huh, looks like you're right. See? So what does that mean? There's only one possibility. The bracelet is on number 0. Is that what you're saying? That's right. Then what number is it? Only one possible number. 8, right? It just doesn't show the whole lines. It's probably broken. Let's find out. Junpei? Seven, Junpei, and Cap. Yeah, that's it. And six. Oh, wait, no. Really? 6? Wait, who has 6 in our party? Hey, it opened. The door opened. What? Why? What does that mean? Both Seven and Clover seemed rather shaken as they turned to look at Junpei for answers. I actually thought it would be 8, not 6. The door slid heavily shut. Junpei raised an eyebrow. Isn't it obvious? Cap's bracelet is number 6. But doesn't it say 0? This isn't 0. The symbol on here isn't number 0. It's a letter O. Oh! Really? Whoa, wait a minute. I don't get it. I mean, we figured out that Cap's bracelet is 6, right? Yeah. Does that mean that there are 2 people with 6, sis? Before Junpei could answer, Snake spoke up. There is most likely only 1 person with a 6. But I don't get it. What about June? Well, this is only an educated guess again, but I think June's number was never 6 to begin with. What? But with calculations we did, it worked. It must be 6. No, it can't be 9, or else it wouldn't work. In other words, June's real number is 9? That seems the most likely. And all his number door stuff was just a load of crap? Why would you say that? Because if June is 9, the numbers wouldn't match up. But still, we tried wrong numbers and it didn't work for us. But her wrong number, as you mentioned, it worked. How? Clover grabbed Junpei's notebook and began to write furiously in it. Floor 8. Clover read each row out loud so that Snake could follow along. Alright, I made a list of all the numbered doors that June had gone through so far. I wrote down which door she went into and which with who, and I wrote what all the numbers were. So if you switch 9 in whether there is a 6, wherever there's a 6, the numbers don't work. It's the digital root. If the digital root is 7, then you can't open door 4. Yeah. Clover, do you notice anything interesting on that list? What do you mean? You're talking about 3, right? 3? Santa's always on the row with her. In the room with her. That's what you are saying, isn't it? Yes, exactly. What about it? That's quite simple, really. You told me that the first time you came to this room, Santa was the first to refuse to leave June behind. Now, doesn't that beg the question why? Why would Santa do such a thing? The answer is easy, because Santa can't open door 9 with only 7 and lattice. Of course, there is only one reason for that. His number isn't actually 3. Santa's real number, 7, would you be so kind as to modify my sister's equations? Yeah, sure. Zero. Wow. That's insane. Can we just go through door 9 already? I mean, yeah, it's insane, but he already mentioned we had less than an hour left. Thank you. That is exactly right, 7. Santa's true number wasn't 3. It was 0. No way. Santa's 0? And June was 9, not 6. On the contrary, Santa was 0, not 3. +3 and -3. They cancel one another out. Nothing appears out of order. Then that means that even though he set the whole damn thing up, Santa was still playing by the rules of the nonary game this whole time. Precisely. So you're saying Santa planned this whole thing? I'm not sure if he acted alone or not, but I think it is safe to conclude that he is 0. If my hypothesis is correct. Clover bit her lip. She seemed to be having some difficulty believing her brother's explanation. Junpei remained silent, smiled, and thought. Snake's hypothesis didn't satisfy him. June's bracelet was flipped. Even if that were possible, then there would have been 2 number 9 bracelets. If that were the case. Alright, that's enough talking, let's go. It's like he didn't want me to continue my thought. It's high time we went through the door. Finally. Okay. Phew. Let me save here just in case. It's been a while since I saved. Nah. After pausing for a moment to catch their collective breath, Junpei and his companions headed down the long hallway in front of them. And at the end was a set of stairs leading down into the ship. It looked as though they led all the way to the bottom deck. They looked down. It didn't seem to be flooded. After deciding it was safe, they headed down the stairs. Before long, Junpei and his companions found themselves at the bottom deck. They turned left into another hallway, at the end of which they found another door. And of course there was a symbol engraved over the keyhole. It looked like the sort of harpoon one would use to hunt fish. Snake traced the shape of Neptune symbol. Like, yeah, I would have guessed. There must be a key around here somewhere. All Junpei had was the Uranus keycard. Not the same planet and not even the same sort of key. Clearly it wasn't going to open this door. After examining the door for a few more minutes, they gave up and headed back to the way they'd come. With a little more searching, they found the metal door. Oh, that's something we can open. Come on, just go and open it. Do you really have to write like 100 words before doing this? The room they found themselves in was full of books. Library. It is library. Finally. Are we gonna find Alice in here? It looked remarkably like a library. Not the sort of library where large numbers of people came to read books, more sort of library that was simply a place to store books. He felt a little overwhelmed by the sheer number of books, but Junpei did his best to speak with authority. Alright, you want to get through that door out there. We need a Neptune key. I say we split up and look for it. Okay, very well. Sure thing. Good, let's get started then. We don't have a lot of time. Hurry. Alice sleeps in a small chamber past the forest of knowledge. As he began his search for reasons he didn't fully understand, Gympie felt those particular words flow through his mind. Okay, this is getting even more interesting. Cool. Okay. I guess it's time to call it for the today. So thank you very much for watching. Have a great day everyone, and I hope to see you in the next part. Bye.